Hey everybody, this is Modern Refugee, working today on a bit of a break, having some coffee here. And I want to share an experience with you guys that I had, an unfortunate one that I think people can possibly learn from. And what that is I had a tick. And ticks are nothing to mess around with. A tick injury has a potential to be serious with an infection afterwards and all the different stuff that a tick can transmit to you. And ticks are an unfortunate fact of life if you do anything in the outdoors. So if you hunt, fish, camp, bushcraft, eventually you're going to run into a tick. It's just part of being in the outdoors to a certain extent. And ticks will typically sit on top of vegetation, and as you move through that vegetation, they will get on you and they will run up until they hit some type of obstruction, and then that's where they bore into you. And that's why you'll typically see ticks like on hairlines, and in my case around the belt line. And this particular tick that I had was actually in the small of my back. And I'm like most people, kind of chunky, got love handles. And when a tick hits skin, it runs up until it hits that obstruction. And in fact, every tick injury that I've ever seen on a human being was always around the belt line, because that's the first basic obstruction where that tick is going to hit, and then that's where they're going to bore into. But this one was particularly bad because it was in the small of my back, and I didn't know it was there. And I believe I picked it up hunting, because I went hunting 2 days prior to when I noticed this. And I was working then 2 days later, and I was lifting and putting stuff up high, and my shirt hiked up. So I reached around to grab my shirt and pull my shirt down, and I felt something on my back that felt like either a pimple or a wart. And I kind of knew right away, oh man, I know what this is, because a tick will inject an anesthetic into you, and you will not feel a tick until after it falls off. And I called my wife, said, hey, you need to come take a look at this. I think I got a tick on me. And sure shit, I had a tick on me, and it was burrowed into me right up to its ass. It was and it was also gray. And when a tick is on you for a certain period of time, it will turn gray, and that's how you know that tick has been on you quite a while. Well, I've got stuff in my first aid kits. I got tweezers, needles, that kind of stuff, tick tools. I had that stuff in my first aid kits because we're in an area and I'm always outside and stuff. And she went to take that tick out. Well, when a tick has been on you a certain period of time, they get kind of soft and punky. Well, unfortunately, she pulled it apart and left the head in me, and that's the worst thing that can be, is because then that could perpetuate that infection. So I had needles and stuff, so she actually dug that tick out, dug the head out and got it out. And I knew right away that it didn't look good, because I took pictures of it, and those pictures are my documentation for a couple different things. One, I have a picture of that injury so I can compare that to other injuries if I run into them, and keep them for my medical record, so I have that as a reference. But plus I also have that photograph that I can show a medical provider afterwards. So it's always good, if you have something like a tick on you like that, take a picture of it, because then you have some extra documentation that you can show a medical professional. Well, I called my doctor and explained to him what happened, and they actually called me in a prescription of doxycycline for 14 days, which is longer than what typically I have seen when I've seen tick injuries. They usually don't give you antibiotics that long, because it was particularly nasty, and because it had been on the small of my back. And I explained to him, that I had it, the last time I was out in the woods before I noticed it was at least 2 days, and ticks will stay on you for quite a long time sometimes, and because the longer they're on you, there's more of a chance that they can transmit something bad to you. So they gave me gave me doxycycline for 14 days to prevent any infections. And ticks are nothing to mess around with. If you have a tick on you where it's been bored into you and you know it's been on there a couple of days and it's turned gray like that, that's something that you definitely want to, if you have the ability to talk to a doctor and to get some medical attention, you need to do that, because ticks are nothing to mess around with. And if it be an SHTF situation, that would be a particularly bad stroke of bad luck to have a tick on you like that. And then after the tick comes off and you want to treat that like any other injury, you want to put your Neosporin cream on it. You want to keep it covered for a couple of days and stuff. And that's what I did with my particular tick injury that I had. And I had pain and significant amount of inflammation stuff around this particular tick bite for a couple of days. And that's another thing that usually signals that it was a little bit worse than normal. So what you want to do is, if you're out in the outdoors and you have a chance, you want to do a tick check, especially around belt lines, hair lines, stuff like that. And that's good if you have a couple of people. You know, you basically got to strip down to your skivvies and have people do tick checks. That's your best way to do it. But like I said, if you got a tick on you and you don't realize it, you're not going to feel it until it's too late. So it's something you really want to keep an eye on, and don't be afraid to call your doctor if you've had a tick on you. And you also want to have those tick tools, tweezers, needles, that kind of stuff. You want to have that in your first aid kits if you're doing anything outside, so you can do what you can in a bad situation if you do happen to have a tick on you like that. And I have never had a tick this late in the year. Usually for us, ticks are a June, July, August, maybe the first week in September thing. And I picked up this tick in the middle of October, which, like I said, is particularly late for us. So anyway, I thought somebody could maybe get some information out of this from my bad experience there, passing on what I know. Don't be afraid to call your doctor if you have a tick on you like that. Have the right stuff in your first aid kit. Don't be afraid to take a picture of that injury so you can show that to the medical professionals when the time comes, and save that for your future reference. And don't be shy to do tick checks on both yourself and your crews. I know some people are don't like dancing around in their underwear in front of other people, but sometimes that's necessary to check thoroughly. And always keep in mind, anytime that you're on the outdoors, you can pick up a tick. And you can also get ticks from pets, from cats and dogs. If you got cats and dogs that go outside and they come in, there's a chance that they can pick up a tick and then give it to you when haven't even been outside. And I've had that situation happen to both me and other people. So keep all that in mind if you're in a tick prone area. Anyway, it's Modern Refugee. Appreciate all my subscribers out there. Hope you guys got a little information out of this video here that you can put to good use if you're in a tick prone area. Anyway, you guys stay safe out there and take care.